a realtor and talk show host all in one. Get tips, advice, and valuable lessons from the successful and rewarded Sotheby's Vice President, Jennifer Hammond. With more than 20 years of real estate experience, she'll make it look easy. Here is Jennifer Hammond.
Hello. This is Jennifer Hammond, and I'm here with Linda DeMarlar. We're talking real estate and taxes. Really need to understand those tax strategies so that when you buy real estate, you can take advantage of the tax strategies there. And one of the really great tax strategies that I love to talk about, and I love when you share your insights about this, is about owning your own business. You know, some people have that, maybe the Avon business or the Mary Kay business, or, there's so many home-based businesses now, and a lot of people, they might consider doing a juice business or something, but it's out of their home. So let's talk about some of the benefits of being self-employed and having that home-based business.
Okay, there's lots and lots of tax benefits for being self-employed. And you're right, many people have become self-employed lately. They can't find jobs, or they do consulting work, or they work part-time, and then they work from home part-time. But working from home gives you an office and home expense. It gives you more, yes, that's the big one, and more car expense. Plus, you have all kinds of deductions that weren't deductible. Like, let's say we're talking about someone who has a normal job, I call it the civilian job. Mm-hmm. They go to work, they come home, they can't deduct their car because that's considered commuting. Mm-hmm. They can't deduct their home because they already have an office. Mm-hmm. And they can't deduct their cell phone or any other expenses. But now if you become self-employed, who is your boss? You are.
Yes, I like it.
So now you need to spend money to help you make your business grow. And basically, all the expenses that you have, anything that you spend money on that's going to help you make more money, that's really considered a tax deduction.
So like the computer you have, your phone, things of that nature, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't realize that even if they already owned it, now that they've become a licensed realtor, or maybe they've started writing cookbooks, or they're just doing some kind of consulting out of their home, and they've already have some of this equipment, including their phone and their computers and desks and things like that. Mm-hmm. So now they can take them off as a deduction. Before they could not. Now, it's very important, of course, that they know what they're entitled to, because wouldn't it be a shame to miss out on a tax deduction?
Exactly. Oh, you just just imagine dollars flying out the window, flying. It's because you just don't know the tax benefits.
That's right, and there's so many tax deductions that you wouldn't even think of. Now, of course, they have to be ordinary and necessary.
Yeah.
So let's say that Susie is decorating her home office. Now, she has a choice. She doesn't have to go buy a $50 rug for her home office.
Right.
But she absolutely cannot deduct a $10,000 oriental carpet.
Right.
So it has to be something in between. That would be okay.
But a computer, your phone, anything of that nature that you might use. Like, for instance, you might have a camera that you need to buy because whatever you have, like maybe you're selling jewelry. And so now you need to photograph that so that you can put it up online, and you're selling it on one of those online sites. So that would be deductible, right?
Absolutely, all of your equipment. And of course, then there's the actual space in your home that you're allowed to deduct. Now, there is one little warning. You can only deduct the space that you use regularly and exclusively for business. So if you share this room with somebody else, or if your children are coming in and out, that doesn't count. The magic words, what are they? Regular and exclusive.
But it could be a corner of a room,
Absolutely,
right?
yes.
So it might be, you might have a big room that maybe is the kids' toy room, but one little corner of it, maybe it's only 100 square foot, is your office. And that could still be your home and office, office and home.
That's right. Either way, it's deductible.
Yeah.
Yes, many times I have clients who have just a one-bedroom apartment, and they work out of their home, but that's okay. They have a space dedicated. It's usually the dining area, because people don't use dining areas anymore.
Right.
So as long as they tell me that they don't use that dining area on Christmas or holiday or whatever it is, Thanksgiving, then we can take that. Or if it's a space in their bedroom, whatever it is, it's a dedicated space. And you actually don't even need to own your own home. I'd prefer that you own your own home.
Yes, you should definitely own your own home.
Yes.
But it's important to know that even as a renter, you have this ability to have this deduction. And you said one time before about how sometimes accountants don't do it because they feel like it's too complicated.
You know, I would say that 90% of the accountants in the United States probably don't even know how to fill out the form. Now, of course, maybe they do it all on computers, but I do taxes the old-fashioned way 30 years ago. And there's a Form 8829, Office and Home Expense. It has at least 43 lines and 3 different columns, so it's not easy to figure out. And many times the accountants will use the shorthand method. There is a shorthand method. It's not as good, of course. Anytime there's a shorthand method, it's usually not as good as the old-fashioned way.
It means that you're not going to get as many benefits as you would get if you were actually doing it the longhand, you know.
That's right.
It's important to know that all those different deductions, they definitely add up. It's just like getting coffee at Starbucks versus if you make coffee at home. You know, the difference in how much it costs you versus how much you save. Again, if you're doing that home and office expense and you're making sure that you're itemizing this. So one thing's, you know, we talk about legally, we also want to find a way that you can really itemize those so that it's very easy in case you did get an audit. You would know these are my home and office expenses, and it's very easy to declare that those were the things, correct?
That's right, and that's one of the things I'll mention when we do a tax return, when we do a show about how not to get audited. But the law changed in 1999, so you will not be audited for claiming an office and home expense. That's when the law turned over completely.
And that's an important thing because many accountants have said to me, oh, don't do that because you'll get audited if you have if you actually claim an office in your home. And that's not true anymore.
Not since 1999. That just means they haven't read the law.
Yeah.
Now, in order to claim it, we need to measure the entire use of your home, the entire space that you use for business as compared to the space in your home. The average self-employed person uses their home 6 to 10%. Yeah. So this means that now, let's say it's 10%, they can deduct 10% of their mortgage interest as a business deduction.
Wow.
And also 10% of their real estate taxes. Right. But also 10% of their insurance on their home, 10% of all the repairs on their home. Nice. Well, if you repaired something in the kitchen, maybe not that, but 10% of general repairs. Right. And 10% of your utilities, insurance, everything it takes to keep your home going for the year. These are things that normally you cannot deduct. Plus, by claiming your office and home expense, you now get much larger car deduction.
Yay!
Right? Yes.
Why?
Why? Because now in the morning you get up and you turn on your computer, your laptop, and you do some work at home, and then you go for a drive, maybe to visit a client, maybe to go to your actual other office, which is allowed to have. Now your trip out of your driveway or out of the parking lot where you live is a business trip, because you're leaving your first office location to go to your next office location. Whereas if you don't claim an office in your home, then don't you even try to claim a bunch of car deductions, because the IRS is going to say no, because your first trip is commuting and your last trip home is commuting.
See, these are the things that people really need to know. So these are some of the secrets, shall we say, of being an entrepreneur and having a business at your home. Is there any other ones you want to mention?
Yes, well, anything you spend money on that helps you make more money. You might have a very big purse because you need to carry around your contracts. Well, that big purse is actually your briefcase, and that becomes deductible if it's used for business.
Nice.
And of course, a portion of your cell phone, and if you hire your spouse to work for you, which I think we'll cover in another show.
Definitely.
All kinds of more deductions can be included.
And that's important because a lot of times you don't really think about all the different items. And I know one of the things that you have, especially for real estate agents, is you suggest different categories that's really helpful to think about, because you might overlook a lot of these deductions. And as real estate agents, we almost all of us have a office in our home because that's where we start working, and a lot of times that's where we end working, because there's so much that needs to be updated. We need to look at computers and look at listings. So that's a really good thing to know.
Yes, and don't forget you want to have a nice television in your home office so you can watch the home channels.
Exactly.
It's deductible.
So there's so many different deductions. So it's very important to know that if you're an entrepreneur and you actually have an office and home and just all of these other deductions you can have, there are benefits to being an entrepreneur, and especially from working from home. So whatever that is, make sure that you really are taking advantage of that. So again, this is Linda DeMarlar. She is our specialist and our tax expert, been doing it for over 30 years. Yes. So happy for all these wonderful things. So stay tuned, because we'll have some more wonderful tax insights for you. And remember, it's in Rockville, Maryland. It's Tax Masters. I'm Jennifer Hammond. We'll be back again for more insights for you.
Thank you for listening to Jennifer Hammond's podcasts. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment or like on iTunes. For more information, visit her website at jenniferhrealty.com.